we turn our focus now to a webinar that was held by Nedbank, deliberating over solutions that are aimed at transforming the South African agricultural landscape. We are joined virtually by Nedbank's that is Cobus Bruyn to talk more about the outcomes of that particular engagement. Cobus, thank you and so much for your time. First of all, let's talk about what type of transformation is needed in this sector.
Yes, good evening to Misang. Thanks for the opportunity. I think if you look at transformation in agriculture, you can look at it in two ways. There's the transforming of agriculture. If you look at how agriculture has transformed over many years since you can almost say agriculture started. Many changes in agriculture, a lot of changes, new cultivars that you see, new inputs that you get in terms of seed, fertilizer, chemicals, new sustainable farming practices, etc. And I think that's important that need to continue, need to be improved for the future. Partnerships is very important. But then if you also look at transformation, that is inclusive agriculture. Are we transformed enough? Are we doing well enough? Can we do more? I definitely believe we can. But if you look at the other side, the transforming, as I said, the way that agriculture has evolved, I think we're doing well in that regard.
Interesting that you mentioned that there should be partnerships within the agricultural sector in South Africa to reach a level of transformation that is seemingly fruitful. What's to be said about small entrants or smaller players in the agricultural field in South Africa having that support from those who are big role players to ensure that transformation is accelerated?
Yeah, I think it's a very good point to me, Song. Is if you look at your new entrants into agriculture, I think they are extremely crucial for a foundation of agriculture. You cannot only rely on large commercial agriculture. You need to build a new agriculture. You need to build new farmers into the business. You need to bring in new farmers in agriculture. And I think it's most important that we have solutions that talk to new entrants in agriculture. We at Nedbank, that's exactly what we are doing, looking at solutions that we can provide to new entrants in the farmers, and also how do you support them? What business models do you need to provide to them, and how do you make them inclusive, and how do you draw them into the bigger agriculture?
Still on the thread about new entrants, where are the existing gaps that need to be filled in the sector to ensure that there is an effort of balancing the scale as opposed to duplicating what already exists?
I think if you look at what can be done in agriculture, I definitely believe that in terms of new entrants into agriculture, you need to make sure that you have a necessary extension officer support to those farmers. I think most important is also to ensure that there's sufficient access to markets. Those farmers need to have access to markets, and there are good markets. Markets are available, but they need to be accessible. Then also I think affordable funding and funding solutions are very crucial. You need to have concessionary funding. You need to have grant funding to some extent, but you also need to have debt funding. And then if you put these together, you need to have a blended finance that you can provide to the segment of agriculture. And then you need to have the ability to not put a lot of pressure initially on a business, maybe in introducing a moratorium on capital repayment or interest payment, and to provide those businesses the opportunity to really kickstart their business and grow as one would like them to do.
Lastly, Cobus, what would be needed in the South African banking sector where agriculture is concerned for a diverse element of funding models that are needed to support farmers?
To me, Song, I think a very important question. I would say it must be a partnership approach, something that we've learned, and I think in most of the commercial banks, is that you can't do it on your own. You need to take hands with stakeholders in the business. You need to take a hand with government. We are at this stage taking hands with the Department of Agriculture on the proposed blended finance scheme. We have signed an expression of interest to participate in the blended finance scheme. So that's reaching out to the department, and the department actually reaching out to the commercial banks and the financiers. So partnerships are very important. Partnerships with commodity associations, partnerships with organized agriculture, partnerships even with your farmers, reaching out to the farmers and really providing them with a client value proposition that talks to their need and how you can address it. So partnerships is very crucial in terms of a solution that one can provide.
Thank you so much for your input. Nedbank's Cobus Bruyn talking to us about the outcomes of a webinar held just this week, deliberating over those solutions aimed at transformation within the South African agricultural landscape.